Good evening, everybody. Car and Biker here. It's not evening. It's afternoon. It's just miserable. What am I talking about? Good afternoon, everybody. Car and Biker here. It's actually 5 to 3. Lovely and warm for winter, but certainly getting dark early. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Things I Read That Made Me Think. Seems to be doing a few of these. I was reading a thing the other day. I'll tell you what it was. It was a letter that somebody had sent into a magazine. Can't believe that still happens with the advent of the electronic mail and all the other technical wizardry that we've got nowadays that we didn't have when I were a lad. But yeah, a letter to a magazine. And it was to the legal part. So the magazine, I think it was Ride. They have a legal expert. He's a solicitor that they specialise in motoring, and this particular chap specialises in bikes. So accidents, laws, all that kind of thing. And somebody had sent in this letter. And I'll tell you what the letter said roughly. Obviously I can't remember exactly, but I'll say what it said roughly, and then see if you can guess what the answer was. So the question was about filtering, and it was a guy who'd written in. He basically said he was having an argument with his mate. Whenever his mate started filtering, he would put his hazard lights on, so his hazard lights would be flashing away, and he would put his main beam on rather than dipped headlights. Now I'm assuming that he means during the day, because at night main beam is definitely a no-no unless you're on a country road with nobody in front of you. I'm not one of these people who uses main beam all the time anyway, but you know, some people do. Some people like that kind of thing. Technically it is illegal, but it certainly doesn't seem to get enforced, so some people think it makes them more visible. However, that's not what this is about. So he said whenever my mate filters, he puts his main beam on and his hazard lights on, because he says it makes him more visible and he feels safer filtering. I've said the man in the letter, I've said to him that this is illegal. He says he doesn't care. And he was asking the opinion of the legal expert on what his mate does. So I'll give you a few seconds to think about that and think what is the correct answer. Now I thought the correct answer was going to be that's illegal. It's actually two violations at once. The first violation is it's illegal to run with your high beam on all the time, even though a lot of people do it. And also it is illegal to use your hazard lights whilst moving, except in very, very limited conditions. This is in the UK, of course. And those limited conditions do not include filtering. They include, you know, you're going to have to do some sudden heavy braking on a motorway and not a lot else, as far as I recall. But there might be something else that I've just forgotten. So what did the solicitor say? He actually said what I've just said then. Hey, it's illegal. He also said, although it's illegal, he does it too. Now apparently the maximum fine you can get if you find a policeman who's having a bad day and actually does you for filtering with your hazards and your main beam on, the maximum penalty is £1,000 fine. But it's not an endorsable offence, so you can't get points on your licence for it. It's only a monetary fine. And he says on the basis of that, he thinks it's worth the risk of getting the extra visibility. He'll have that over the risk of £1,000 fine. And in reality, of course, the chance of it being £1,000 fine are probably quite slim if you were to get caught for doing it at all. So it's quite interesting that a legal expert, somebody who presumably, if they get in trouble with the law, although it's not a criminal offence, it's a motoring offence, but somebody who gets in trouble with the law, it would reflect very badly, you would imagine. And somebody who's an expert in that area, essentially not condoning, or maybe he is condoning, not specifically going out there and saying do this, but certainly, yeah, to a degree condoning 2 traffic violations because potentially it's safer. And that made me think. Now, I've not done it yet. I've done a bit of filtering, but since I read that, but I haven't done it with the hazard lights on or the main beam on. But, you know, should we be doing that? Is that indeed the safer thing? The logic behind the hazard lights is that because they're flashing, they draw your attention much more. A steady light doesn't actually draw a lot of attention, but a flashing light does. So it's more likely to get you seen as you're filtering between 2 queues of traffic. And hopefully, if you're seen, unless you've met the complete psychopath that occasionally does rear their ugly head, you know, you shouldn't then have people cutting you up and knocking you off or squishing you between 2 cars, swapping lanes, all those kind of things that happen when you're filtering. So food for thought. I've said that a few times recently. What do you think? That guy then didn't like it that I filtered past him. He was desperate to get alongside me. Hey ho. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon.